What's up, everybody? We're back. Mike and GR. How's it going, Mike?
I'm great, bro. How you been?
Oh, man, just hot as hell still. I can't believe...
Oh, my God.
I can't even begin to think what this next electric bill is going to be like.
Oh, it's going to be high. So are you getting those texts? Are you getting the text from like SCE?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, please conserve power.
I got one about 15, 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I started replying, no, make me. I don't want to.
Good times. Good times.
Stop texting me. I'm going to block you. They're like pissing me off, dude.
I don't blame you.
Because they're using electricity. They're using Wi-Fi. How are they sending it out? Come on,
Yeah, well,
get out of here.
We've got to hold everybody else down. We're going to do what we damn well please, and it just makes no sense. But again, we're back.
For real.
We're going to do this again. Thank you for tuning in the last couple times. We love seeing, the numbers, and we kind of geek out on them a little bit, and we just like to thank everybody who's tuning in.
Little bit.
So today,
right
Mike
on.
and I, we're going to...
So what are we talking about this week?
We're going to talk about raising Gen Z. You and I, we have a whole brood of kids. How many you have?
Yeah, we do. I have 3.
3 kids. So you have 2 girls, boy, 7, 6. Who, what? Tell us, break that down for us.
You asked me how many kids I had. Sorry, my bad.
No, I did, but I'm asking you to break it down.
My 2 daughters. No, I got you. Okay. We'll get a flow going here in about 30, 40 minutes, right as we wrap up. I have 2 older daughters, and then I have my son, who's my youngest.
Right on.
What about you?
I have 4. I have 2 daughters that are the older 2. Then I have 2 sons. You've got them all out the door now, or not out the door, but at least adulthood.
Yeah, you're missing one. But it's worth mentioning to everybody out there, our kids are all like within a year of each other. They grew up together.
Yeah, they grew up together. They know each other, and they're right in that same age range. That's for sure.
Right.
And I mean, I became a parent at, I think I was my young 20s. I don't even remember what age I exactly was, but
you were about 22 or 23 because Maisie is a year older than Cassidy, and I was 23.
Okay, if the math works, the math works.
How about that?
It works for me. Let's
Maisie
roll
was
with
born
that.
in 96, right?
Yeah, Maisie was born in 96.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So she's a year older than Cass. That means I was 22 in 96. You were 23.
Okay.
Boom.
Way to work that out.
Right around there. I got this math. I got the math going. I'm good to go.
I'm glad somebody does, because I sure
Just
as
don't
hell
ask me how long I've known you.
Oh, yeah, that's right, huh?
Yeah, so all of a sudden I lose 10 years.
No, if I could lose 10 years, I'd be a happy motherfucker. So let's get into this a little bit. We've each got a herd of kids.
Let's do it.
Essentially, all of our kids our older ones are right at the tail end of the millennial generation, really more into Gen Z, if you go by the numbers.
Right, they're literally on that edge.
So they're on that edge. They probably have a lot more millennial influence, but still fit into Gen Z. And then Michael, definitely straight Gen Z. And I know my 2 younger ones are straight.
As is Alex.
Yeah, Alex, straight Gen Z, and definitely Jacob, who doesn't act like any of them, but we'll get into that a little bit. So we started young.
Right.
We definitely started young. What were some of the things, like when you first found out you were having a kid in the first place? What was that like for you, man?
I would have to say it was a little, probably a little nerve-wracking. I was 22, getting ready to turn 23, I just got out of school, just got married, just had a job. So, and then just got pregnant, kind of all at the same time.
Holy crap.
And it was all, got out of school, got married, pregnant, and it happened all in that order, but it was all within months of each other. And so it was,
so you started adulting really quick.
I felt like, yeah, I guess I just kind of dove in. I didn't mean to. I mean, it was, wasn't what I planned, but honestly, I didn't have a plan. I had thought it, I didn't sit down and go, okay, let me look at the next 10 years and see what's going to happen. What am I going to do? I didn't think about that. I was like, oh, okay, out of school, get married. Oh, having a kid, and I didn't, I always thought I would be a good dad. And then I was a dad, and man, there should be schooling for it. Really, there should be a class on how to be a dad.
No,
not
what?
just a parent, but a dad specifically from my perspective.
It's interesting that you say that, because it makes a lot of sense when you say it, right? But do you think there is any book or curriculum or anything that could actually script or prepare you for what is, even if you went through that class, you're still going to get knocked on your ass?
Yeah, that's true. And from one child to the next,
yes,
each one's personality is different. Their needs, their wants, their attitudes, their just the way they act is completely different. The way they approach life is completely different. And so it's there isn't anything. I just kind of wish there was, because I learned a lot from my dad. And I'll be honest, I learned a lot of really, really good things. And I learned a lot of really, really bad things. A lot of things that, make sure you do this for your kid.
Gotcha.
A lot. And then there are a lot of things, hey, you know what? No matter what, don't ever do this. And it's that kind of a strange balance, but it still doesn't cover it all. Like the one thing that I can say for sure that I was always there at Christmas, and I even had a job where I had to work every other Christmas, but I figured it out. I was always there. I was always Santa. I always had that handled. I was at every show. And my daughters did musical theater and competition dance on top of the school shows, but I was at every single one of those, never missed one. Those are the things my dad did that I learned and I saw, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's what a good dad does. Your kid's always going to remember that you were there. My dad worked 60, 80 hours a week, but he was at everything I did, at everything my sisters did, and I saw that as a positive. The negative,
sure.
Well, that was the patience and the temper. And to be honest, I'm still working on it, One of these days, I'm about to have a grandkid, so maybe I'll get there then.
There you go.
I don't know. Right? We'll see. What about you? What are your thoughts?
So for me, I mean, again, started out really young, didn't plan for it, wasn't prepared for it. Just kind of one day I get the call that says, actually, no, that's a crazy story in and of itself, how we found out. But one night I find out and I was floored. Wasn't married. Didn't think that at the time this was going to be the person that I was going to have kids with. I was just doing my thing, right? And next thing you know,
right.
I see this pregnancy test that says positive. And at that point, I didn't really know what to think.
Oh.
It was more of an, oh shit, right? So, I mean,
right.
That happened, but I also knew when reality hit me and I had that oh shit moment that, okay, this is what it is. And now it's time for me to step up and take care of business. It's time for me to make sure I put myself in a position that from here on out, no matter what I do, I can be responsible and take care of this other little life that's going to change my world. And that's how it started for me. And I agree with you that there were many things that I learned from my father as far as the things to do and the things not to do, right? I think the things to do were, for me at that point, came into work ethic and making sure that I provided, and no matter what, you just do what you have to do to make sure that there's a roof over their head, that they have food in their stomach, that they have the necessities and the basics of life. Now, as far as being there, we'll get into that a little bit later as we move on. But that's something that I early in, or through most of my kids' upbringing, I necessarily wasn't there in the name of work. One of the things that I look back on and wish I could have changed, or I could change. And maybe now I'm kind of making up for it because I have the ability to work from home, and now I work from, I'm self-employed and don't have to commute hours and hours to work. And with that, maybe we can get some of the perspective from my own son and introduce our boys. I think that's going to be our we have two special guests today. And that's our own sons.
Before you get there, you get to that, what I was going to say is, we have our perspective. And this is why we're bringing them on, is we have our perspective here. And it's one thing for us to think, oh, this is what happened, this is how it went. But it's always important to get the other side.
For sure.
And so G and I have both invited our sons, our true Gen Zers, onto the show, because if we're talking about raising Gen Z, who better than the two ultimate Gen Zers, which are our freaking sons. So let's bring them on.
Absolutely. We're going to bring them on. Alex and Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
We're going, man.
Okay, so you guys got to hear the intro, everything that Mike and I said. Michael, why don't we start with you? What from the relationship you've had with your dad and hearing what he just said, is there anything you can add to that from your perspective right now?
Not exactly. I don't think so.
I saw you rolling your eyes some of the time. So
Well, you were always there for like my sister's shows and stuff. I don't think you've really been there for mine.
You didn't do any, did you?
School shows, you were not there.
I was there for every one of your school shows.
Think you were.
Oh, no way. I still have video of every silly little award you got that they gave away. I was there for those, man. I was sitting in the heat, dying, annoyed, but I didn't say it. Kept it inside.
What about the school?
Oh, yeah. No, I was there for every single. Oh, yeah. I was there for all that stuff.
I think I'm learning more than really.
Are you learning on the fly, Michael?
You're learning.
Yeah,
more.
I'm learning more about my dad right now.
Well, and actually, that's one of the reasons why we brought you on. Is we can learn a little bit more about each other from our perspective. So, what about for you, Alex?
Like you mentioned previously, like you couldn't be there a lot because of work. Just kind of how your work prohibited you from coming to our stuff. But I do remember a lot when we were kids is that if you could be there, you were. Or if you could do something about it, you would do something about it. Like I remember, I think it's like the first weird, I don't know what it was, probably for something pointless, but I got in kindergarten. And I remember you showed up after work and you got me Legos or something. And because you just kept telling me, you're I heard all about it. You did such a good job. Here you go. And I was like, whoa, Legos,
That's funny. I don't remember the Legos. I remember being able to cut out for certain things. And for me, it was always nice to be able to do those things because in my childhood, my dad was always at work as well. He didn't attend a lot of things. I know at one time he made an effort. I'll give him that much. He made an effort to coach one of my baseball teams one season, and so he tried. Now, what ended up happening is he didn't make it all the time. The assistant coach ended up being the main coach, the main manager after a while, and it was a little disappointing when I was young. And those things I kind of just learned to not expect after a while as I got older. But that was how it worked in my world. So being able to be there every now and then for your guys' things was a treat for me, which sucks because I wish I had more of that, and things like that.
You know what's funny is you mentioned your dad being there for and coaching. My dad did that too. My dad coached soccer. He coached baseball. He was coaching all kinds of stuff. And I remember being as a kid, like my dad never watched sports, so I had no idea how my dad knew any of this stuff. and then when it came around. No, I swear to God. And then when it came around to the girls did soccer, Michael did Little League. And when it came around to that, I remember one of Michael's teams specifically, they were short coaches. And I had gone to a practice and the guy was like, we need an assistant coach. And I'm like, I will ask around. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, I can show up to the game. I can show up to the practice. I can show up to the game. I can cheer him on. I'm like, but man, I hate baseball. I'm like, the last thing I want to do is be the assistant coach who's responsible for doing stupid shit. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, totally. Bringing up baseball, it's funny because Alex, he tried to play baseball a few years. It turns out that he's not the athlete.
Really not.
And it's funny because, and I believe me, I tried. I grew up playing sports. I grew up doing all that stuff. So let me ask you now, Alex. Did you ever feel pressure, like you had to do this and you had to be good at it when we had you in Little League and things like that?
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of did when I was a kid because like when I was a kid up until even middle school, I would think about it because I didn't give a rat's piss about baseball or Little League or sports or anything. I just remember figuring out I can fake I have a stomach ache and I can get out of it, or I have a cut on my foot and I remember I told you I had a cut on my foot and you told me and we didn't have any Band-Aids, so you just told me to stick some toilet paper and some Scotch tape on it. And that's how I went to practice. And I just remember goofing around in the outfield, picking dandelions and looking up and you're just shaking your head,
Sounds about right.
This is it. This is my son. But because
this is the best we're gonna get.
My dad was my only son, just picking dandelions like a dingus. But I felt bad because you see Maisie, she's been playing softball forever. And she was really good at it and she played it through middle school. And I think she played with you sometimes, when you would go out and play softball.
Yeah.
And I do look back on how unfortunately I didn't start paying attention and enjoying the sport until I was way older. And I was way past the point of any league or anything. And that's some parts I regret is that I was oh man, this stuff's really fun. And I kind of missed out.
Right. But not
What
naturally
about you,
your
Michael?
thing.
What about me?
Same question, actually. Maybe, and it can be anything. This is revolved around sports quite a bit, but pressures, I think, expectations, right? Because that's, did you feel expected to be a certain way or do a certain thing or, do you remember anything like that?
I felt like I was pressured to keep doing karate for as long as I did. And that's just because you always complained about it.
I always complained about it.
I drawing blank as I speak, okay? I can't help it.
So Michael made it to, what belt did you make it to, Michael?
Blue?
Blue? All right. There were only 3 more belts, I think, after that. And the third one was black. Like, Michael went pretty far in Kempo, but he never wanted to go. But once he was there, he was totally fine. And I realized, and I think I realized at the time, part of that was once he was there, he wasn't going to be that kid that was pissing and moaning while he was there. He was just going to shut up and deal with it. It was getting him there. And so, I had a motorcycle, and so it sure did make it a lot easier if I was like, well, we'll take the bike. And he'd be like, oh, okay. Just for a motorcycle ride.
So did you use karate to get motorcycle rides, Michael?
No, I used motorcycle rides to get him to karate.
Get him there. Awesome.
That's what happened.
Let me ask this. I'm totally interested. So, Michael, what about karate class did you like? Because you went far, so obviously you had the ability. Was there anything about that class that you did like?
I like the people that I associated with it. I liked all the people there, and then like the teacher was also really good.
Cool.
You could also flex that you could kick my ass every time I visited you.
Maybe not now.
I mean, but like I just remember like you'd always be like, "Come on, kick me, see what happens." Like you're like, I can block it.
That's funny. And so, what are the things about the class that you hated?
Working out.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that was a quick response.
That totally makes sense. Putting in the work always sucks. It's something that's necessary, but hey, working out has never been fun. I've been making myself do that this last year, 8 months now, and it's not my favorite thing to do, but I'm realizing it helps. It definitely helps. So
Michael came downstairs the other day while I was working out, and he just stopped. He just stopped and stared and then walked the other way to the kitchen. Like
I'm going to pretend I didn't see
like,
anything.
Whatever.
That's hilarious. So let's go back. Mike, what are some of the things that, because we both have daughters. We both have 2 daughters. Mm-hmm. And obviously raising daughters from a dad perspective, I'm sure it's different no matter what, but a dad and his daughter is just a specific feeling, a specific thing. And you know what that's like, especially raising 2. And we've even used each other as second dads to kind of scare our daughters a little bit every now and then. I'll actually even tell a little bit of story real quick. So I think it was Cass, right? It was Cass, and she had a new boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And you were out in Ontario, and I was going to do a video shoot with you.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
Okay.
I said you better pick up the gun.
Yes. So we needed to, part of this video shoot required a gun as a prop, and Mike had forgot it. He was in Ontario already. He had forgot it, and I was coming out to Ontario. He's like, hey, stop by my house. Yeah. I need you to pick up the gun and everything. And I'm like, okay, cool. And Cass is there with her boyfriend. And I go and I grab the gun and everything, and I have it in a bag. It was in a case, and it was sitting there. And I meet this kid, and I tell him, hey, don't screw up. You know what's in here, don't you? Or something to that effect. So I'm just trying to scare the bejesus out of this kid. And full on Mike's blessing, he said, yes, you've got to do this. And so it's those kinds of things. So raising daughters, what was that like for you?
You know, I honestly, I didn't have a problem with it. And it goes back to, you know, this kind of brings up in my mind what we were talking about earlier on the phone when we were talking about the episode today. It's you know, there are fears as they're growing up that, you know, and you put them as a parent, you put them on yourself. You know, you put them on yourself as though I'm gonna fail and it's gonna present itself over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in the end, and you had in that conversation mentioned that, you know, in the end, because I had mentioned, okay, let me go back. I had mentioned in that conversation that how we're blessed to have the kids we have.
Yes.
Who didn't do the shit we did, and how lucky we are. And you made the statement that, well, I don't know that I believe it's all luck. And I understand that statement, but at the same time, if, you know, like I think of my mom and me at one point in life and her saying to me, what did I do wrong?
Sure.
And so I think of it that way, where, you know, if they're good, or if they're horrible kids, we look at the parents and think, what happened? But if they're good kids, you know, I honestly, my kids, bro, I got lucky, you know, because I made a lot of mistakes, you know, and I've apologized for some of them.
Is that true, Michael?
You know, I don't think he heard you.
I don't know. Is that true, Michael?
What?
Is that true? Has he apologized for some of the mistakes?
Oh, yeah, just a little tiny bit of them.
There you go.
Yeah, we call that some. Damn it.
Well,
Progress.
I call it a little bit.
That's still progress, right?
Definitely progress. I got to give that to you, man.
But you know, it's so daughters specifically. It was easy for me, you know, as a dad. I think it's you know, as a dad, your daughter's your princess. You know, I have a few tattoos, and one of them is an Irish proverb, and it says, "A son is a son till he marries, but your daughter is your daughter until your dying day."
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I believe. You know, sons are meant to be raised into men who can then lead. And I know this sounds super sexist, and maybe to a certain extent it is, just based off the quote. But from a dad standpoint, you want to raise your son to protect his daughter, right? And you want to raise your daughter, and you just always want to protect your daughter.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's so even though you want them all to be successful and all to go do all this stuff, in reality, you know, you get a little more protective of your daughter. You know, I remember going to my daughter's school and flipping out to protect my daughter. And I remember going to Michael's school on a couple different occasions. On one of those occasions, I sat down with Michael, with the counselor, and the counselor said to Michael, if you need to beat the shit out of somebody, hit him. I would never have told my daughter that, although I did one time. But really, I would never really tell my daughter that. I would go fight for her. Whereas I'm telling Michael, hey, if you got to get in a fight, dude, put up a good fight.
Sure.
You know? And so there is that difference in the way that I look at, you know, a daughter versus a son.
No, I agree
you treat
with
them
that.
fairly, but there are those little nuances that are different here and there.
Absolutely. You know? I know growing up.
Had I known MMA was going to have a strong female division, I might have thought differently.
Right. That's funny. I know that, and I used to tell this to my kids all the time, because the girls would often say, well, you treat the boys differently. You let them get away with more, was their perspective. Yeah. And I always used to tell them, and I mean, Alex, you know, let me know if you remember hearing this, but I would tell the girls, I go, look, yeah, I do treat you differently. From where I see it, like you were saying right now, Mike, boys and girls are different in many ways. And so I did treat them differently. And what I used to tell the girls is like, look, they may get away with a little bit more now, but I'll give you an example, kids. I would tell Maisie and Anissa, if God forbid you were to get pregnant at a young age when it probably wasn't the right time for you, I would take care of you. I would take care of this child. I would make sure that everything was okay. If it's one of the boys, their ass is out and they're going to take care of business themselves. Have we had that conversation?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So in that respect, yeah. Is it sexist? In the essence of the term,
Maybe a little.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, and I have no problem with that, quite honestly. And I will do that.
And at the same time, dude, you have to think about that. And I hope I'm not cutting you off. We have a little bit of a delay, I think. At the same time, you know, my daughters used to claim that their mom was nicer to Michael and let him get away with more. And I think he would, Michael, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you would say that I let them get away with a whole lot more than I let you. And I think it's that, you know, daughter's princess, mama's boy kind of thing. Like, you know, mom looks at her son and that's the prince, and dad looks at his daughter and that's the princess. And I think they see both sides of that. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, that's true. That's like you always let them get ahead of me with that, like anything.
Well,
I'm zoned out right now. I'm sorry.
Don't make it sound all. And it's the worst thing ever.
It really sucked. But okay, so with that being said, let me get the perspective from Michael and Alex. What was it like? Because you both had the exact same issue of growing up with two sisters that were older than you, right? So, Michael, we'll give you a chance to get back into the zone or catch up. So let's go, Alex, from your perspective. What was it like growing up with two older sisters?
Well, I watched a lot of Disney Channel I didn't want to, so you know that happened. But from childhood up at from just childhood and growing up with two sisters, it's an experience. It's an experience with like who's to blame for what, who's gonna get away with what, and who's the favorite, you know?
So favorites was a conversation that came up?
Oh, all the time.
So how did it get broken down?
How it gets broken down sometimes is we all four, three of us. Jacob doesn't participate because he doesn't, you know. we all know at the end of the day he's the favorite, but
I don't think necessarily the favorite. I think he just doesn't care.
Doesn't care.
And so he doesn't worry about what anybody thinks.
And he doesn't. And I have the utmost respect for Jacob because he handles everything so much better than me, Maisie, and Nisa could ever. But it was always, grandma blamed me for this, and it was actually you, and she's letting you go, and Maisie and Nisa would fight all the time, and I would just kind of stay in the background, seeing how this is gonna are we gonna start swinging or what, you know?
That's funny. What about for you, Michael? What was it like growing up with two older sisters for you?
It sucked. They call themselves the Irish twins, and they have their own secret language. And I can't tell if they were talking shit or if they were just having a normal conversation. And then there's always the instigator to every fight, every argument. The middle child, my sister Callie, she was always the instigator to every single fight between me and my oldest, Cassidy, and that was annoying because Callie always got away with it, and then yeah, Callie always got away with it.
What am I missing right now? What
that,
the hell?
that reminds me of when we found out, Dad, when Maisie was like, Anissa was the reason. Like a lot of stuff happened.
Yeah, Anissa was so the middle kid seems to always be the instigator and would fly under the radar, but would be the biggest pot stirrer of them all.
But yeah, the middle kid, you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, I used to love the way, and I mean, I was on to it from the get go. So it wasn't like there was, I was fooled by it, but it was the cutest thing that Callie would do. If before Michael was born, if Cassidy was getting in trouble, Callie would be like, "I'm a good girl, right, Daddy?" And I was just, for just a second, right? For just a second, I'd be like, "Yes, you are, baby." Oh, God damn it. Like, she got me again. You know what I mean? I was onto it, but it was kind of funny. And I used to crack up about it. There was one time where we were driving in the car, and this again was before Michael was born, and the girls were in the back seat, and they were fighting like girls do, over, I don't know, a toy, the crack in the seat, I don't know, whatever. And Callie looked at Cassie, and she's like, "You stupid." And I turned around, and I said, "Callie, we don't call people stupid, okay, baby?" And she goes, "Okay, Daddy." She looks out the window like this. For like 2 minutes, she looks out the window, and it's dead quiet in the car, and all of a sudden you hear her go, "Stupid monkey." And I started dying because she's sitting there thinking, what can I call stupid?
To get it out.
And it occurred to her, yeah, monkeys are fine. They're not people. I called the monkeys. And I'm like, damn, that girl. That's when I knew. She was probably like 3. That's when I knew she was going to be a problem. That's when I knew she had me. That's when I knew she was smarter than me.
That's hilarious. So I'm curious. We've gotten to this a little bit and gotten some of your feedback, learning a little bit more about Michael's perspective, about Alex's perspective, and that leads me to start thinking about what are some times, guys, where maybe you sat here and thought, "Man, Dad's full of shit." Like there's no way that like, come on, bring it. Like at what point were you sitting there and you're thinking,
Michael can't wait to answer this question.
Michael, you could go first, man.
No, Alex first. I have to think.
What? You gotta think.
Go ahead.
I think.
Oh man.
You got to think. There's that many, huh? He's like, I got to put them in order.
Rank them.
Yeah.
Tiers. I don't know much off the top of my head, but like I do take some of the lessons or some of the things I've heard to heart, but like I can't pick and choose because it's 20 years of lectures and me like doing stupid stuff and whatnot, but I feel like I have thought like, oh, he's full of crap, right? Like he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But then I grew up, and then I was like, okay, maybe he like I don't agree with all of it, maybe, but like maybe this is what he was trying to teach me.
Okay, what were some of the things maybe that hit you later then? What are if you have an example or two of that where it's like maybe you thought I was full of shit or didn't know what I was talking about, and then all of a sudden it was like that light bulb goes off and you have that aha moment like, God damn it, he was right.
Me with school.
Okay.
I know in middle school, like I was just the worst. Like I was going through that angry, I hate everybody phase, and I was like 13, and like I just wasn't doing my work. I was lazy. I was like middle school through like maybe my sophomore year of high school. I just was not like shaping up to be somebody who my parents wanted me to be, and it wasn't until you sat me down, like not yell at me, but like sat me down and was just like going like, you're gonna be a failure if you keep this up, and like if you don't get your shit together and Like, just do the work, just put in the work, and everything's going to be so much easier. My junior and senior year were so easy because I decided to just cut the BS and like just start doing what I needed to do. And I just remember like after my junior year and like started my senior year, I was like, damn, he was right. I was like, this is easy if I just stop being a little turd.
And you know what's funny? It's funny that you say that because, quite frankly, I was the same way. I was I was a great student up until middle school, because elementary school is easy. But in middle school, I discovering all these other,
Hey, speak
things
for
around
yourself.
me, and they become much more fun to do. And I don't want to do the work. I become lazy about it. And it took me a while to kick my own ass into gear. So it was because of experience that I was able to pass that on to you. Now wait till you get a chance to pass that along. What about for you, Michael?
So, how should we start? Every time that I got hurt on my bike, and you would always just say, "Oh, walk it off," even though I'm sobbing.
Mhm.
Dad, you're full of shit. That's not. That was not okay to say. That
Why?
was. I was in pain. You're supposed to coddle.
No, you weren't really in pain. You
I was
had a
bleeding.
scratch. You had a scratch.
Blood
you
means
know what?
panic.
Yeah, I can prick my finger. So I'll defend that one, right? There are better stories I can think of that you should be bringing up. Yeah, it hurt, but what did you need to do? You needed to get back on the bike, right? You can never let the bike win. That's the thing. You can't let the bike win. You have to overcome it.
So does that same logic apply to my appendicitis?
No, because that
True story.
because
No.
that was life threatening, and that could have killed you. Totally different. We put everything on hold and coddled as
I
appropriate.
don't think you coddled. I don't think you coddled.
Oh, you have
I'm
no
pretty
idea.
sure. I'm pretty sure you did not think it was appendicitis, and you just went back to bed.
Bro, we were in the hospital. We were at Inland Valley, right? And they came in and they said, he's got appendicitis. And the first thing that went through my mind was, oh shit, we're at Inland Valley.
Get him out
I
of here.
Yeah, I said, okay, I want him transferred to Children's. And they said, there isn't time. And I'm like, oh my God, my son's gonna die. No, serious.
Terrible.
And they're like, there isn't time. We can't transfer him. And we can't let you go put him in the car and take him down there. We need to do the surgery. He said, trust me, I can do this. And I was like, oh my God, okay.
He stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Yeah, right. Serious. I think I cried while you were in surgery because I was so nervous because it was Inland Valley. And I was like, they're going to kill my son.
Now, to
And when they
Michael's
kill my
point,
son, I'm going to kill them.
to Michael's point, let me tell you, I've definitely made that mistake before with my own kid being hurt. So Anissa, she broke her leg or her ankle, and I, for the life of me, was like, she's fine, it'll be okay, walk it off, and I'm sitting here going, it's gonna be fine. Next thing you know, here comes Anissa with this pink cast on. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And it's broken. I am an idiot. I am.
Oh, same. I had the same thing happen. Oh, I had it.
Was
I
this
did
the
it
slide?
twice.
This was the slide, yes.
Okay, well, technically, she didn't break that though.
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother story, Chris. But go ahead, Mike.
See, I did that twice.
Okay.
I did that once with Cassidy and once with Callie because I didn't learn my lesson.
Yeah.
Right.
See, so we do
So-
mess that up, Michael.
I'll try to shorten it just a little bit. Right. So Cassidy was outside playing flashlight tag in the middle, at night in the summer, and I guess there was this wet spot on our lawn. She slipped. Right. She slipped. She came in crying, and we set her down. I grabbed some ice, and she's like, "My ankle." I'm like, "All right, you just twisted your ankle. Everything's cool, you know." And her mom was like, "No, I think she broke it." I'm like, slipping in some mud. I'm like, I fell off a roof, and I walked away. Right? I might be stupid up here because of it, but no broken bones. And she's like, no, I'm going to take her to the ER. I'm like, all right, if it'll make you feel better, fine, take her to the ER. But I think it's stupid. She came back, cast, broken. I'm like, okay, all right, fine. And it feels like right after that, we were at my parents' house, and Callie was outside playing with their dog, and the dog pulled Callie around and fell into some rose bushes. And Callie came in like holding her wrist, and she had thorns all in her, and she was screaming, crying. And again, it was like, oh, I think it looks swollen. And I'm like, no, she's not a crier, but I'd cry if I fell into a rose bush also. That's a lot of thorns. And they're like, no, we need to take her to the hospital, to the ER. And I'm like, come on, guys. She just fell into she's okay. It's not like, you know, I don't know. Took her to ER, came back, broken wrist. And then the third time, right? Cassidy had just got her cast off. I learned my lesson, right? Cassidy. So this is twofold funny. So Cassidy just got her cast off, and she was at a birthday party at one of those like bounce places where they have all the things in the different rooms. And there was this obstacle course, and I was like, I'll race you. And she's like, okay. Well, I wasn't in the obstacle course, so it was obvious I was going to win. That was the joke. And so I said, go. And I went just to the end so I could be like, haha, gotcha. Of course, we all knew I was going to win. You know, I didn't have to go through the obstacles. Well, she never shows up. So I go look, and there she is in the middle holding her ankle. Having learned my lesson, I jump over, I call my friend. I'm like, Jeff, get over here. He's like, what? I said, get over here. I pick her up, I hand her over. I'm like, she broke her ankle again. Get over there, set her down, get her some ice. I'm getting the car. We're going to ER. Right? I'm all over this one.
It's
we
not
take her
broken.
to ER. It's not broken. I got nothing, is what the moral of that story is. I
love it.
Zero idea what a broken bone is or how it occurs. I really have no idea.
Or it could just be bad luck.
Or I'm just an idiot and I don't know what the hell's going on in life. I don't know. Never broke a bone. You know, maybe I will tomorrow. We'll see. Speaking of never broke a bone, I almost died today. Right? Total sidebar. So I'm on my way home. This is when I called you before you called me back, right? I'm on my way home and it's a windy road, and I'm behind this other car. Oops, sorry. I'm behind this other car, and you know, we're cruising down this windy road, no big deal. And we get to this straightaway. Well, we're coming up to a left-hand turn, and two cars come around the left-hand turn. So it's a right-hand turn for them. Well, the front car just comes around this turn and heads straight into our lane. And he must be doing 50. We're doing 50, right? The car in front of me, and I didn't see it until the car in front of me swerved out of the way into the dirt. All of a sudden, there's this car coming right at me. And so I had to decide, right? Do I swerve where that other car went because I'm going to hit them? Do I swerve over into the other lane and hope that the cars behind this dude are slowing down and that he doesn't swerve back? Or do I stay here and hope that he misses me? Right? So all of this stuff in an instant. So I slam on my brakes and I swerve to the other lane, right? Well, as I'm doing that, he's coming back to the other lane, and then he sees me do that. He comes back here. He skids straight past me in my lane, and I'm in his lane. And as soon as he passes me, I just come back over, past the car that's now in the dirt, past the other cars that are stopped, and I just go on. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I'm like, this dude just came around a curve. Was he checking his phone? Did the steering wheel slip out of his hand? I don't know what happened. I was just like, oh my God. And I could see in my rearview mirror, he went off into the dirt off my side and hit a telephone pole or something. And I'm like, not going back. That's on you, bro. You did something stupid. I don't think he hit a telephone pole, but
I'm glad you made it to the podcast,
because almost died.
This wouldn't work out if you weren't here.
And, well, and then, yes, I made a 3-up just in case. And then it happened, not the same type of thing, but 2 more times on the way home. Just so you're careful driving right now, guys. Be careful driving, because I don't know, people are being weird today. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Heat's melting brains. So let me ask guys. I'm really interested in this. So Micael and Alex, what I'm going to put out to you is, well, I'm sure both of you have friends out there who don't have one or the other parent in their lives. Is that true for both of you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like only maybe have one parent in their lives. And you two have been fortunate enough to been raised with both parents actively in your lives. Do you think that that has helped, and how has it been different? Like the differences that you see between you and maybe a friend that wasn't able to have both parents. What do you think that experience has been?
I think it's it's dependent on how the kid takes it first and foremost, because like I've got a buddy who his parents are split and they've been split forever, and but he still actively visits both his mother and father. And I do remember asking him, I'm like, so how does it feel like what's it like when you have your parents like that when they're separated for 90% of your life? And he told me, he's like, it's kind of strange because it's like you're it's like you're going into two different worlds, right? Because you're encountering two different personalities separately instead of in the same household. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was fortunate enough to have and to have both my parents, like both you guys, in the same household for 20 plus years, and I know how to gel with handling both personalities of two different people and being raised by them at the same time, like who and like you guys kind of working as a team.
Yeah, we don't always look. Your mom and I, we don't always see eye to eye, and we can go at
Right.
each other, like that's for sure. But when it came to you kids,
Oh yeah.
would you think that we've always made an effort to make sure we approached raising you kids as a team?
100%.
Okay, cool. And do
Even
you think that made a difference in you being the person you are now?
yes,
How so?
because I saw you two as a unit, even though you weren't there a lot because of work, and even hell, even mom wasn't there a lot because of work. Um, because she used to work late and you used to work early in the morning, so we would catch you guys either or. But when it came to the weekends or like holidays or vacations, when you guys were both there, it made a and I don't know if it goes with Maisie and Easter or Jacob. It to me it made a whole world of a difference because I'm seeing you two cooperate and just use like both of your guys' individual experiences with your parents or your childhoods bleed onto us, like in a good way. Like okay, so like that sucked when I was a kid. I'm not gonna do that. Let's do it with my kids. Like I feel like that's what you guys were doing all the time, and you guys were like freaking dynamic duo like over here, just kind of making sure all of us had a good time.
Cool. Michael, what was it like for you, like as compared to maybe a kid who didn't have both parents actively in their lives?
Um, I have no clue. I don't have a friend that.
Oh, okay. Then
Yeah.
you wouldn't know. So then do you think it was better for you to have both your parents there for you all the time as opposed to having to not have one of them around?
Um, yes and no.
Okay. Talk more about that. Why yes and
Uh,
why no?
I think I should say
And if you don't want to answer, that's fine too.
I won't answer.
Okay, that's totally cool. No big deal. So what are some of the things that
You
you
got to
guys?
remember, G. He comes from both worlds.
Yeah, I get that totally. Um,
Yeah.
so, what are some things that you guys have learned from us as dads that you're kind of putting away in your back pocket saying, you know what, I'm going to make sure I do this? Michael?
I've learned to basically, if my kid ever had a question, I would never be busy with something.
That's a good one.
My father.
What?
You're always busy with something every time I come down to ask a question.
I'm always busy.
Well, you always say you're busy.
Well, let's qualify that. Just how long have you been asking me questions?
Oh,
20 plus years.
yeah, like 13, like 15 years
Right.
probably.
And in those 15 years, that means since you were 5.
Yeah.
In those 15 years, how often have I been busy?
He's got a pie chart stashed from the closet.
He probably does.
Like a bar graph.
Probably like 55% of the time.
Well, let me ask it this way, Michael. Let me ask it this way, Michael. Has he ever, even if he's busy, has he found a way to answer your questions, or has he ever?
Depends if he's reading or not, or if he's typing.
Yeah, and that's true. So I can actually back that up for him. There are times, I think it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Right. I was like typing an email, or I was reading some message or something like that, and he was asking me stuff, and when he would ask me, I would go back and start reading it again, and then he'd ask me, and I'd go back and start reading it. And finally I was like, oh my God. Like, I just trying to get through this paragraph in this email or whatever the hell I was reading. So he's right. As long as I'm not reading something or typing something, because I am, I'm a typical guy. I can only do one thing at a time. So I got to get through that paragraph or just completely give up what I'm reading right there. Now if I'm reading this huge article, I'll give up what I'm reading. But if it's an email that's a paragraph, I want to finish that paragraph. So I at least got that. Now I can move over here. And yeah, so I'll back him up on that. There are times where I'm like, bro, I'm seriously in the middle of something right this second. But in all fairness, God forbid I try and go talk to Michael while he's playing a game.
Oh,
He'd chop off your nuts, huh?
Let's be honest. You are your father's son.
I'm sorry I can't hear you through my noise canceling headphones.
I can't pause it. It's online.
Yeah, right. That's what I get all the time, man.
That's funny. What about for you, Alex? What are some things that maybe you're taking away and putting in your back pocket for?
But wait, before you get there, Michael, that's actually a really good thing to take with you.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? That's actually a good thing for both of you to take with you. When your child has a question, it needs to be answered. And Michael, I'll work harder on that.
Let's see. Straight to the point lectures. Like, there are times where, like, I'm getting chewed out for something, and it takes like maybe 10 more minutes than it should because we're going back to previous points and we're saying the same thing. I'm like
I'm guilty of that too.
Let's wrap this up, right? Like, I got the message, but like, I don't want to be, I don't want to get my ass beat. I don't want to be ready to be like, hey,
And Alex, what we're thinking is one more time, he'll get it.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And the reason being because we're looking at you going, he has no freaking clue. It has not sunk in.
But
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't look like he heard me.
Exactly.
There are times where we have heard you. That I'm pretty sure this goes for Michael too. We have heard you. We're like, all right, let's just slap a bow on it, call it a day, and have some dinner. Like we may not look like it, but like when we're nodding our head and we say like, yeah, I got you. Sometimes, yeah, we got you.
Yeah, sometimes that's just shut up.
Right?
Like, Like let's wrap it up. I got the message.
And I'll drill that point home, damn it.
Yeah, for sure. And on that note, let's if we can, let's go ahead and wrap this up. We're getting to a point. I got a couple things to do.
Sounds good to me. Well, in wrapping this up, I think that really quick, I want to thank you two for coming on and
Yes,
sharing
thank you
your
guys.
thoughts and your experiences and helping us see things, from your side of the aisle and the way you guys think and feel. I definitely appreciate that from both of you. So thanks a lot. I really want to
Yeah,
come out and
definitely.
say that you both have turned out to really good young gentlemen. We're really proud of you, both of us. Mike, I think you can back me up on that.
Absolutely. And we are lucky AF, if I can use your term.
I don't even say that, man.
Well, now's the time. No, we're super lucky with all three of my kids, all four of his kids. But yeah, I mean, we're extremely proud of you guys.
Yeah, definitely extremely proud. It's been a lot of tears. It's been a lot of smiles. It's been a lot of effort on everybody's side. I think if there's anything that I've instilled in you, Alex, it's that you should always be yourself, and you should always be self-aware. Know that, look, when I'm doing good, I'm doing good. When I'm fucking up, I'm fucking up. And when that happens, to maintain accountability and take that responsibility, and with all that, just do it, put all that together and just keep moving forward always, and never be afraid to, like I said in the beginning, always be yourself and do it with all the self-confidence that you can have. Even though you're going to make mistakes, always just keep striving forward. And I think that you've done a real good job of that to this point, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the future, my man. I'm proud of you.
Oh yeah, no, like.
And don't think just because we're proud that we're not going to keep pushing the shit out of you.
Or kick your ass if we have to.
Yeah, no, like, I
Absolutely.
appreciate the words. Appreciate having you, having us on here, you guys. It was a pleasure, and it was super fun learning seeing how your guys' process works. Super great.
Was it my turn?
I guess.
Yes.
I mean, go ahead, man.
I mean, it's been a pleasure. It's been mostly quiet for me, but that's how I work.
He's got a lot more to say on Discord.
Facts.
Discord doesn't involve a camera,
That
okay?
is true.
The camera can be intimidating. I totally get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything for you, Mike, before we sign off here?
No, I would just echo G's words. I mean, I think we are blessed with the kids we got, and our parents not so much, but we were, and so I think I'm kind of stoked by that. And I brag about my kids every day,
Yeah,
and
for
I
sure.
brag about my kids every chance I get. Just because I don't tell you doesn't mean I'm not out doing it, and just because I come back and get hard on you about something doesn't mean that I am not wanting you to succeed. It's I'm a little bit different. I don't mince words. I'm a shut up and do it kind of guy. Michael, you can attest to that. And sometimes you just gotta shut up and do it, and things get easier right afterwards.
Exactly. Well, with that, thank you guys for coming on, and we're going to get back with our audience right now and say, hey, thanks a lot. Thanks. If you want to hear more, you want to see more, you want to get more involved in what we're doing, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell to get the notifications. And we can't wait to see you again next time.
Absolutely. Have a good night, everybody.
Peace.
And
Talk
as always,
hard.
talk hard.